This is Monsters on the Mic on the Fan 106.5, giving you exclusive insider access to coaches and players for Duluth's Minnesota Monsters football team. Recorded weekly at Lyric Kitchen Bar in downtown Duluth. Now here's your hosts, Brian Prudhomme and Dave Cook.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the debut episode of Monsters on the Mic. We are live at Lyric Kitchen Bar. It's Brian Prudhomme. It's Dave Cook. Dave, it's a new show for us.
It is a brand new show, Brian. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We get a chance to connect with our new Minnesota Monsters. We get a chance to talk to some new friends, some old friends. This is going to be a great intro to this new organization, new program, new season.
It is. Let's go with the most smiley guy in the room. I know radio's not a visual medium, but with him, I wish it was.
Well, you're just creating that picture.
Well, there's that. That's my job. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, joined by the new owner, Jacob Lambert. Can I call you Jake?
You know what, Brian? You sure can.
Are we that comfortable?
We are that
I
close.
appreciate that.
We're that comfortable.
I'll tell you what, this town is going to get super comfortable with you. Your thoughts on the early goings of being the new owner of this new organization?
Man, everything I'd probably say would be a cliche, but they're also true. Like, just really exciting. All the players that we have, and the coaching staff, and bringing Meadow in here as a CEO and GM. I mean, there are just so many benefits and pluses. But like I said, all I can say is just really, really happy, really excited. And I just know it's going to be a good season. I can feel it. The locker room's gelling. And I always say, you know, we definitely have the best quarterback in all of Arena. I built this team around Javante, and that's just the way it's going to be. And we brought in a lot of good defensive players, strong up front. We get guys like Claude Davis, played 3 years with the Jets. He's here tonight too. Just so many good guys that are going to make this team work, and we just can't wait.
A lot of folks can't wait. Let's talk about the newness of just this organization in general. New name, we got to get used to that.
Yep.
We got to call them the Minnesota Monsters and call them by the rightful name.
Yes, sir.
But this city's gotten used to calling arena teams champions. So there's a lot
Correct.
of things that are new, but as you were alluding to, the goal is the same. The standard's the same.
Yep. Well, for sure, the standard is the same. But like I've always said too, and I've talked to Meadow and I've talked to the players, you got to win the right way and you got to lose the right way, right? So even when in the past when there was winning, there was some things that just weren't kosher. And so with the new brand and the new standard that we're doing here, it's just we want to set a precedence. Just want to be a little different, and we want to win. Like keep saying, win the right way and lose the right way. And we're going into a bigger league though, so this is going to be hard. This is going to be a big test, and these guys know that's a longer season, tougher players, and a lot of travel. We look at it when you're hopping on a plane and you're going all the way to New York, California. You got jet lag. That's a real thing. Yeah. So it'll be tough, but it's going to be awesome.
Well, one of the things that we can tell just sitting here is the passion that you have for not only the team, but the pride and ownership. Right. Tell us a little bit about what that means to you. What does that pride and ownership mean?
Man,
You stumped them with your first question of the season.
You did.
That's why I give the softballs. Go ahead.
Give the softballs.
Yes.
What it means to me is it's that sense of passion, and it's something that I've always wanted. You always want a sports team. Like we always say, oh, I want to be an owner, I want to be a coach, and I get to finally say that. And it's hard, but just like anything that you want, like this should be hard, right? So, but 100%. No, I this is what I want, and I love it.
The community got used to being really connected with this team.
Yeah.
It almost to the point where you could say, hey, there's a party going on Saturday. Are you interested?
And a football game broke out.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can fans of the team, what can Duluthians expect different or the same or anything like that when it comes to that connection with the community?
It's definitely going to be a lot different. And I know Meadow is going to touch on that too. So you're going to see a lot more entertainment value within the football game. And so Meadow
doesn't seem possible, does it?
It doesn't, but you're going to see it.
I don't know the pressure.
Different.
I feel like it's on me. The PA guy's got to be better. He was going to lead with that. I thought.
Well, you need to. You got to.
I got to bring my A game. I got to up it a little bit.
You've been bringing your B game the last 2 years. Let's step this up.
I didn't think you were going to tell the public that.
Can you be an A minus? Give me an A minus.
I'll do what I can.
Okay. No, so really, it's just and that's the thing. And Meadow's going to bring that entertainment value, guys. And that when people come to a game, they want to watch football too, but you got to look at a good 30-40% of that. People coming to a game, they want to see more than that. They want to see the whole thing. And so Meadow's going to bring that. The ideas that he's brought to the table and that I've been learning, it's amazing. When I came into the picture, I thought, you always think, oh, I know everything, or I know this because I know business. I only knew probably 25%. I was going to do this team and the players a disservice by not bringing someone in that knows that entertainment value, and that's what Meadow's bringing in, and he's teaching me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know these things. You think you do, but you really
Right.
don't. It's hard. And he's been around AFL, AF1, and I haven't. So it's not a typical business. It's a different animal.
Well, and Meadow, that's kind of how I want to bring you in because I want you to teach us what we should expect. Jake's done a great job, but he spoke generally. You're going to speak more specific on what you bring being the new feature and the GM of the squad.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having us and kicking this show off, and we're looking forward to an exciting season. You guys are going to be a part of it, and that's some of it right there, starting off with the first introduction. How do people get to know us? One of the things that I've always been taught is that, you get that first impression, all right? You get one shot at that first impression.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is I can get you to one game, I'll get you hooked. Okay, that's all it's going to take is one game because you're going to get there and it's going to be an experience. And that's what we want for our fans. We want an experience. But we're working at it, tying into the community. We're going to be a part of it, but we're going to be ourselves. We're going to add our flair to everything that we do. But, we're just today, matter of fact, we put a deal together with Chick-fil-A, and that's going to be our faith and family night. Okay, so we're proud of that.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of things that we want to do. We're going to be working with the Boys and Girls Clubs. Those are the things that we feel that's important because each one of our players, my owner, myself, we've been blessed with gifts and talents. Okay, but those gifts or talents are only good if you share them with other people and help other people.
Right.
So that's what we're doing with this team. That's what Jake is, one of these guys that literally puts his money where his mouth is. Okay, and so he has it that he wants us to be a part of the community. He wants to make a difference, and so we're going to do that. But we're going to do it through entertainment. The world's tough. People are nasty. People take shots at each other. We're gonna bring joy to people, and we're gonna do it through football. Football's our tool.
Yeah.
Football's our vehicle.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're gonna bring joy to people. And for 2.5 hours, they're gonna come out, and we want them to forget about their problems, forget about politics, forget about all of that. Just let's play ball, and then watch what all the entertainment that we bring with it. We got the dance team. We're going to have the mascots. We're going to have all kind of interactive games going on the field. Every time out should be something. Okay? So the goal is to not let the people sit back on their seats. Okay? If they sit back, they're saying,
They're
entertain
bored.
me.
Yeah.
Right, if I get them at the edge of the seat, I want them to say, what's next?
Right.
What's next? And as my dad taught me, always leave them wanting more. So every week we're going to leave them just wanting a little more.
So let's talk a little bit about what's next because one of the first things that Jake said was it's going to be super different. But with the old regime, with the old organization, all we know is winning in championships and we think people were having fun, but we know it can be enhanced. So what's going to be different from the old regime to the new?
Well, and again, I'm not going to spend time comparing ourselves to another organization.
Yep.
All we're responsible is for what we bring to the table.
Right.
And what we bring to the table is a fresh energy and a commitment to excellence. Okay. Are we going to be excellent? No. Are we going to make mistakes? Yes, we are. Okay. We're going to come up short, but you're going to get 100% commitment that we're going to try to do our best for our public, our fans, our players, our league. One of the things that this league is different because it's a much bigger league in the sense that the production value, the quality of the players, the coaches, those things are all different. One of the big differences you're going to notice right away when you walk into that arena is you're going to see these big rebound nets. No other league plays with those.
Right.
Okay, so these are big rebound nets that are used for the kick off of the net, ball ricochets around, poor guys trying to pick the ball up with 8 other guys barreling down on them, you know. Even the quarterbacks can throw the ball off the net to a receiver and catch it. So it's actually in play.
Javante's got to learn geometry.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I got that.
So, but those are some of the things, you know. You know, it's 8-man. Okay, we play.
Yeah.
We have linemen. You know, we have a kicking
There's
game.
a kicking game. Yeah.
Correct.
Don't mention that in Minnesota with football. It's a touchy subject.
God.
Right. Yeah.
So those are some of the things that are different. But you're going to see that, you know, it's a very well policed league.
Right.
You know, we have compliance officers. There's things that have to be done by the book in our league. Okay, the uniforms have to be a certain way. The way players have to come out and sign autographs. That's
That's protocol.
Yes.
All
People
right.
are going to get fined.
I like that. So, Jake, let me ask you this.
Yep.
You said you always wanted to be an owner. You are. In these early goings, what's been the challenge or the surprise that you went, all right, I knew I wanted to be an owner because I wanted to do this, 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 and this, but I had no idea I needed to do X, Y, and Z. What have those been?
This should be good.
I'm done with the softball. I'm going hard at him now.
Meadows back thinking, I'm interested in that too.
No, there is, and it's a lot of stuff. When I started like J&B Manufactured Homes, like my companies, to me that was I wouldn't say easy, but it had your typical struggles that you kind of know. It's just, but coming into something like this with a professional team, it's not just business, right? You got players, so you have lives in your hands. So like for me, I did this for the players, so I'm a players guy. So that was easy to me. I gravitate to what's easy. Yeah. All right, well you do that. Well, there's also the travel that we had to do. So like Brianna, my wife, and I, we booked all the travel. You do all these things. So I think the balancing of the business side with the fun side, and then making sure that these young men are taken care of, that can be challenging. And then understanding I have a newborn child. So, you know, if you want to get...
So he's not sleeping already.
Right.
So he's got a lot of time.
Yeah, so but it's not to make it not to make it a serious statement, but reality, that is the tough part. It's a lot. So I would say the struggle itself is just the multiple tasks, and I think you know, when Meadow came in, it definitely helped with that, because what I previously had assisting me set me back 6-7 months. Because there was burnt bridges, there was issues, and there was just you know the term, you know, this turning over stones and finding more things.
Yep.
And I found another one today that are just, you know, you ask why, how, and why, you know, it's frustrating. So bringing Meadow in has kind of curbed my anger towards that, or being frustrated, and that's really it's put a lot of things in perspective. So it's nice to have that sounding board too.
Not only new logo, not only new league, new arena.
Oh yeah,
so you're moving
That's
from
the
the
biggest
deck,
one.
You're moving from the deck to
That's
Amsoil.
huge.
You've seen both places. What do you see the advantages of going to Amsoil?
Well, Amsoil, I would say it's
Air
more
conditioned.
Air conditioned, yes, right.
Yes,
He's new here,
Yes.
but he's heard the lore.
He's heard, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's state of the art. So, like, I love Dan Harmon, so I don't want to say anything in regards to like the deck or slander it, but it's new, it's state of the art. So you go from, you know, where the deck is the deck. It's great. I mean, it had good suites. We come to Amsoil, it's state of the art. You can have it where it's more suitable for TV because we're on TV.
Yeah.
So I just think it looks more sleek and it's more modern. It's more for the now and what we're doing. And that's not. I know it sounds
Absolutely.
salesy, but that's just the reality of it.
Yep. That's no shot against the deck, Brian.
No.
One of the things that you and I have noticed when we do games there, when it's quiet in Amsoil,
You can hear a pin drop.
you can hear
Yep.
a pin
Let's not
drop.
have that happen
And when
this
it's
season.
loud, it really
reverberates.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it really
It echoes
holds
in there.
sound. You bet
No
it
doubt
does.
about it.
Oh yeah.
Beto, I have a question for you about this league in general, because you've got a big name running the show. To have a commissioner like Jeff Fisher.
Correct.
That's NFL credibility, of course. But what does that mean in terms of how well this league is run?
Well, there's a standard, and that's exactly it. So between Jeff Fisher and Jerry Curse, and we really don't want to underestimate or downplay the value of a Jerry Curse in this league. He's the godfather of it.
Yep.
Okay. Jeff Fisher brings that, like you said, credibility, but it brings a standard, and that where everybody else is forced to rise to that standard. Okay, so that we're looking at that. He's been at the big show. Okay, we've been at the big show, and that's what these guys' admirations
Right.
are all about. You know, we love this sport. Okay, and it doesn't matter what level you're on. this is something that gets in your blood. And once you get hooked, you're hooked on it. I got hooked on it because it puts me back into the same arenas I grew up in traveling with my dad. But I love football. Jake loves it because of the fact that the professionalism, but that camaraderie ship, okay? He's a former ball player, okay? But you come to the AFL, and there is a fraternity. There's a brotherhood. You're doing something unique, and you're one of us.
Yeah.
And with
sure.
a Jeff Fisher at the helm, oh my gosh,
Speaks for itself.
And I won't be surprised if you don't see some other big name former coaches coming into the league as
Nice.
well.
I think they're announcing a couple, aren't they? There's two or
I think
three
one's
that's
coming pretty close, right? And so we're getting there. That momentum, it's a snowball, and you got to get it rolling. And now it's starting to roll and pick up. One of the things that the league was really excited is getting Jake as an owner. Okay, they were looking for the right types of owners, and because when I got a phone call, it was said straight out to me, this is the kind of person we want in this league.
Yes.
And so that was huge. I mean, that's what they said. They want this man in the league, and they want more like him. Okay, so they've been doing a really good job. I'm excited about it. We're going to Albany Friday.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great opportunity for us, not only on the field, but organizational-wise. Right now, Albany is the standard. Okay?
Yep.
Albany is the standard.
It's Albany week. We got to speak PJ Fleck for Dave.
I'm PJ Fleck.
I know you are.
love
I know
me
you
some
are.
PJ.
See, we're gonna have some conversations.
So we
all
give
right.
them their props and stuff and right now they're the standard that we're looking at. But that standard is going to make us all better, and that's how I look at that. That standard is there to make us all better.
Okay, so last question, because we've kind of painted the league in the season with a broad brush to start.
Correct.
But game one is creeping up.
Yes.
What's been the toughest part for each of you just this week? And I'll open it up to both of you, and then we'll close a great segment. I thank you both.
Man, I'd say the toughest. Man, you ask a lot of good questions, and I don't want to be cliche.
My boss is here.
right
Can
over
you say
here.
that
But you know
louder?
what I'm saying?
I'm so glad
No.
you're going first.
because I don't want to be cliche, so I don't want to just. So I want to get like. So I'd say here's the toughest part, and be completely transparent. So I was been all off season was around Javante, Couch, and Baron Mallory, and a lot of these guys, right? So we talked. They trained year round in Pine City. They were always constantly training. Every day it was week one. Like PJ Fleck would say 1-0, 1-0, right?
I'm going to let you guys sit next to each
This
other
is
for
gonna
every
be good.
show from
Yeah.
here on out.
Oh yeah, because our starting running back Shannon Brooks, just so you know, PJ Fleck.
Oh, he knows.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just
I might
throwing
have
that out
called
there.
Brian and said, "Hey, we're going to be elite at running back."
Oh yeah, that's right, elite, and we're rowing that boat all day.
Amen.
So the toughest thing is being and Meadow kind of, I wouldn't say gets on me, but reminds me in a nice way, is that sometimes I feel like I'm a player. Like I'm a player with these guys. Like I get excited for them. And these two that sit in here probably don't want to hear it, but I have to remember, I'm in essentially, however you look at it, I'm their boss, right? So I have to be able to say, okay, we have to compartmentalize, we have to do this, we have to do that. I put my head down because I've always been a bull. And I'm thinking we got to go in there and thump them, go to do our thing, blah, 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 but I also have to temper them too, right? So the hardest thing for me is realizing that I'm a boss. I have to look at travel, I have to buy tickets, I have to do all these things. Instead, I would love to be in the locker room and watching these guys and going to practice and seeing these guys joke around. But at some point, I have to pull back from that. So the hardest part is just realizing that I have to do the business side versus just being a fan and loving these guys and all that.
Follow that.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah,
Lemon
good luck.
shirt. Yeah.
The hardest thing for me is being patient enough to say, okay, we got a couple of more weeks before a game. So, I want a game right now. All right? I want to put on this show right now. Let's go. Okay? There's nothing tougher than that. But I will say it has been tough, though, watching Jake sometimes pain through this. And I feel bad at times, and it's like I want to do more. And it's like, because I really do. I just want this man to have fun with his team. He
Have you
spent a
watched
lot
him?
of
He's having a good time.
He spent a lot of money to get this, and I want him to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to get everything as close to perfect as I can. So that's kind of been my frustration. It's like, I got to get it there. I got to get it there so he can play with it and have a good time and say, look at what I did. Look at my toy. And I think he deserves that.
Yeah.
I think he deserves that. And so right now, my frustration is getting us going and getting it to showtime and stuff so that he can just look at it and go, yes.
I would agree with that. What did we do to deserve these two? How about a round of applause for both of them? Owner Jake Lambert, GM Meadow Lemon. That's segment 1. Segment 2 as QB1. Stick around. Monsters on the mic. We'll be right back. Back for Monsters on the Mic. We are at Lyric Kitchen Bar in downtown Duluth. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook. Dave, we've talked about this. You and I have done various recorded shows before, but it's fairly rare that we're this transparent about it. But this is recorded on a Wednesday. We'll air later in the week. But if you want to be part of it, we want folks to come down on Wednesdays and join us.
Absolutely. You know, they have a happy hour going on here at the Lyric. Plus, we're going to have this area just outside. I mean, from Duluth, we're just outside of the Lyric in the area in the Holiday Center. And there's plenty of seating, and it's really, it'll be easy to see and interact with the players. Ownership, management, everybody's here.
This is a beautiful spot. Now, we're getting close to week 1, and it's still April. It's going to be more beautiful than this as the season goes on, I promise. I don't think there'll be snowbanks out the window.
Oh, let's hope
We
not.
don't know with Duluth.
Challenge Mother Nature.
But let's talk to a guy who's very, very familiar with Duluth. He's familiar with winning in Duluth. It's monster season when Javonte Johnson is around. We feel better talking to QB1. Let's at least say hello to start with. How we doing, my man? Welcome back.
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you guys for having me back as well.
Now, you've always been comfortable in Duluth with this team. You've done a lot of winning in this town. Now, the team's different. The organization's different. Lots of things are different. But having a quarterback that we know and that we know is talented can be calming. Do you feel like you're kind of the leader by default, not just by position, but by knowing the town and knowing what this is so well?
I mean, I feel like I'm the leader because, like I said, we put in all the work. Obviously, we don't just roll over, wake up and win. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we're moving up leagues, and we just work harder and expect the same results. It's not like we expecting to win, expect anybody to hand anything to us. We're going to go get it.
Like Brian said, you're the leader of the club, though, when you're on the field and off the field. I understand you stayed in the area, did some training and working out, really setting a tone for the team.
Yes, sir, for sure.
So talk a little bit about putting in the work. What does that mean now versus what it maybe meant a year ago? Because we just heard from Meadow and Jake about some of the differences. Playing football's off the net. What do you have to prepare for that maybe you didn't in previous years?
I mean, typically, most arena players, we usually start working out a couple months prior and all that stuff. But I understood the jump. I understood the jump in talent, the jump in responsibilities, the jump in, what we got to accomplish and what our real expectations are. So that's kind of where the work came from. Obviously, I always love working. I always love working hard. But I knew I had to keep finding ways to turn it up a notch just because, like you said, all we want is championships.
So, Javonte, when you decided you were coming back, how much telephone work did you do? Were you out there recruiting players as well?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like I said, I've been in this arena thing for 5 years now. So, like I said, once I found out we were moving up, and I know good players who've been playing up and stuff like that, like Claude Davis and stuff like that. So, yeah, we definitely had a list of guys to help us on this run for sure.
So how long does that take to get familiar with newer guys? Because you've got guys that you have some familiarity with here, but then you've got folks that are going to be new to Duluth. How much time does it take to gel? Because Meadow said already, the locker room's gelling, period.
I mean, I just feel like this year, the guys who recruited, the guys, our coaches recruited, Jake recruited, and all that stuff like that. I mean, that was a part of, like the locker room was already a big deal before we all got together, so basically what I'm trying to say is a lot of people that's here right now have the same mindset. They've been through a lot of the same things. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's like a brotherhood. So, what I'm saying? Obviously, being on teams, you got to connect with your teammates and things like that. But some things you don't have to force at all, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's a lot of what's going on here.
So Dave talked about telephone work when you decided to come back. I want to know how much goes into the decision to come back, because there are things that you must love about being here because you're the veteran of being here. Tell us what made it easy to want to be still part of Duluth and what you love about this community, because I got to tell you, if you don't know already, this community loves you.
Well, honestly, I love being here for sure, 100%. But I wasn't certain that I'd be here again. But after a bunch of events transpired and stuff, there was no other place I'd rather be 100% for sure. It's like the easiest decision I ever had to make on where I want to be playing football.
So this probably is my layup question for the day. But when you're in the locker room now, you're bringing in people from all over. Their different experiences, different backgrounds, different levels that they've played at. How do you, as the quarterback, as a leader of this team, instill the winning pedigree that obviously you have? How do you get everybody pulling the same rope when everything is new?
It's just every day, every single rep, like Jake was saying, it's it's week one all the time. We talked about it yesterday at the end of practice. This is a big week for us for sure, but every week is going to be the same thing. Yep. Once this week's over, next week is the biggest week of our. The week after that, it's the biggest week of our life. That, and like I said, my teammates, noticing that and seeing the work ethic and the attention to detail, everybody kind of just gravitate to it.
So I don't want to ask the basic question of tell me the difference between practice and a game, but you're itching to play a game, and we're getting there. It's not long that you'll be taking on Albany. Welcome to the league with a matchup like that. But how itchy can you tell is this team getting to play against somebody else rather than just continue to practice?
Well, for me, I would like the guys we brought on defense are, they're pretty good. So for me, it's every play is like a game, like it's game situation going against those guys. So, I feel like for me personally, going to Albany is going to be a little bit slower than I naturally assumed because of the guys we're practicing against. But like you said, as far as our team, a lot of our guys been at this stage already, a lot of our guys. So, they lead us, guys who hasn't been in these type of situations. And like I said, that's why I'm grateful for the teammates we have and stuff like that for sure.
So let's talk about the fan base, because they know you, they appreciate you. Like I said, they love you, and they know your game, and they've enjoyed it. But everybody works out in an off season. Is there a difference in Javonte that we're going to see this year that you said, I worked out on this, and this part of my game is suddenly looking better, or I want this part of my game to look better? You've been a champion here, but what's improved for you?
Honestly, I feel like everything's improved. Like, I feel like this offseason was the longest offseason I've ever had. Like, it just felt like it took 1,000 days for these, for this camp and all this stuff to get here. But, like I said, I just tried to keep it day by day, just try and get better at every aspect I could, whether it's watching film, whether it's watching other quarterbacks, whether it's working out, lifting, whether it's working out, throwing. Yeah, probably did 2-a-days. Let's say we had an 8-month break. I probably did 2-a-days for 5 months. So, yeah.
Wow. I was going to say, that's putting in the work.
Right.
I got to ask about the building, because everybody's going to. Amsoil is just a different palace. Everybody's going to enjoy being in there. But again, you were in the deck. You enjoyed the deck. The deck was the house that Javonte built the last 2 seasons. But tell me a little bit about what it's like just throwing the ball around in a different venue. Obviously, you play in a different venue on the road, too, but you have a new home now. What's it like?
Well, it won't come full circle until we get all the fans in there. Just being in there without all the fans in there kind of can't really.
It's hollow in there.
It's a little stale, yeah.
But, from what I see, most of the fans set up a few levels in the deck. And now this year, everybody's going to be right around the field. So, I'm kind of happy for everybody to be able to be a little closer.
That's going to be crazy to think about, because I think for a lot of us, the perspective at the deck was, wow, some of these people are right there. That's going to be enhanced at Amsoil even further. I want to ask an easy, difficult question, and stay with me, because we talk about our fans, we talk about our home, we talk about this community, we love it. But it's April. We're not home till late May. I know you want to play, and we're not going to get on the schedule makers here, but is there some frustration of, man, Duluth is excited about us, but Duluth doesn't get to see us for 6 weeks?
That passes the back of my mind, but at the same time, this is what we asked for. We got, a tough road schedule. This is why we built the locker room the way we did. This is why we recruited the guys the way we recruited them, just for these battle-tested moments early, right away, so we can know where we're at, know where we got to be, know what we got to do.
Right.
Making a run at the end of the season will be here.
Well, and that's the other side of that scheduling coin, if you will. Do you feel like you can bond even better because you've been road warriors together for over a month by the time you get home?
100%. Like I said, 100% we know we're going to face adversity. It's just it's football. And outside of us having to fly, us having to play the better teams, but like I said, it's all a dream come true.
Brian, how come Major League Baseball schedulers haven't followed that pattern? Keep the folks from Minnesota out until
late May.
A couple weeks in.
Well, be careful what you wish for. I think the baseball fans in Minnesota might stay away for a while, but that's a different topic altogether.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about Jamal Couch. I'm a little disappointed that I don't see him right here as we're at Lyric Kitchen Bar because he became one of the more visible folks around Duluth last season as it is. When you're his size, it's tough to avoid that. But you guys had amazing chemistry, and you want that with every wide receiver. He's back in the mix again. What's it like to have Nookie Blanky? As much as you're adjusting to different things, you got a guy that knows a lot about you and vice versa.
Well, like you said, last year was our first year playing together.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know it.
Yep. Well, we got, as players, we got close and stuff like that. Well, like I said, this offseason, we're blessed to be able to stay with Jake. So, I mean, that's my brother now. Like I said, I probably know what he's doing right now. So, yeah. So it definitely makes it so much easier for sure.
But then you got Jake raving about your run game as well because you've got a relatively well-known member of the backfield. And we had, sprinkles of a run game with a franchise a year ago, and that was new to everybody who watches arena football. They think, well, arena football, all you do is chuck it all over the yard, and we love to watch you do that. But you've got a talented runner. Shannon Brooks, I'm just going to open it up like this and watch Jake smile. Your thoughts on the former Gopher?
I don't know what I thought he was going to be like. Like, I'm saying, he's a former Gopher. I never met too many Gophers or however you want to say it, but, I didn't know what he was going to be like meeting him, but now it's probably one of the most genuine guys I ever met in my life. Like I said, football is, he loves football. We all love football. That's why we're here, but, it's like, as far as us, mingling and getting to know each other,
Yeah.
that's like on the back burner for sure.
Off the Gopher question. If I don't let you talk, I'm doing it wrong.
Well,
Go ahead.
for a second, an old offensive lineman has to ask about the offensive line and how that's obviously we're going to see it. But in my mind, just thinking about it, that might be the biggest difference. Now you're going to control protections and everything from the quarterback spot. What's your offensive line look like?
I like my offensive line. I love them. We got better throughout camp altogether. Like I said, not just their group, but altogether we got better throughout camp. But, yeah, I love my offensive line. I'm pretty sure I probably got the best center in the league just watching film and all that stuff like that. So, yeah, I love my offensive line for sure.
That's important. That is important.
So what goes into, I'm going to end it the same way that I ended the segment with Meadow and Jake. What goes into game one that is maybe more difficult or easier than going into games later in the year? Because we don't have a lot of film to adjust to. We don't have a lot of expectations. We don't necessarily know ourselves all that well. What's the preparation like this week that might differ a great deal from when I talked to you in June?
It's us versus us. People can put on a show for however long they want and stuff like that, but like I said at the beginning, when adversity hits, the character gets shown. So, for me, like I said, we want to win the game, Well, I won't say we want to win the game. We're going to win the game. But like I said,
like that even better.
As far as it's a long season, so we just got to make sure we got all the right guys in the locker room, all our right leaders leading the right way,
Right.
in preparation of the long season that we have.
So you already said it better than any of us ever could. Not that we want to win the game, we're going to win the game. How much fun is it then going to be when you go into Albany's home barn, if you will, and they've been the cream of the crop in this league before, and spoil week one as the new kids on the block?
It's going to be a big deal. Like I said, I don't never want to downplay anything like that. But, that's our end goal is to win a championship.
Absolutely.
And obviously week one doesn't win you a championship. So
We've said it all along. New team, new name, new organization, new building. Same championship standard. This guy's got it. Round of applause for QB1, Mr. Javante Johnson. Never gets old.
Thanks, man.
talking to him. Sure, victory number one is just moments away. A new member of the community and a big member of the defense is moments away as well. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back here with Monsters on the Mic at Lyric Kitchen Bar, downtown Duluth. Again, we record this show on Wednesdays, so we invite everybody to come down and join the fun. And then you can hear the show later as well. Of course, all the excitement here of week one. Again, I'm not going to get on the schedule makers. This is Brian Pudo, I'm Dave Cook, but I'm a little bummed that week two, per se, is delayed. We got a bye week, no show next week.
Yeah.
So have fun now, and we got a lot of time to prepare to have fun again.
It's going to be fun when you see the fire in the eyes, right? When you see our guys coming down the tunnel ready to roll. And having to wait is not easy.
I was going to say, that's not one of my strengths, but you talk about seeing fire in the eyes. I thought I was going to see that from Javante Johnson after my first question today. He thought, I thought we were friends. What kind of question is that?
Yeah, well, that's the news guy in you. You have to ask all those hard hitting.
Once a reporter, always a reporter.
Right.
Sometimes you just can't shake that title, and there's a lot of titles I can't shake, but I digress.
Okay, yeah, no, now we get to start talking to the guys who really know the game, the big guys.
Well, I was going to say the title that we can bestow on our next guest as we welcome Claude Davis is former NFL player, former New York Jet Claude Davis. Now, we were having fun with that off the air, and I'll just leave it at that. So I want to start with welcome to Duluth, and we're going to go kind of general here. Your first thoughts on being here on this community and what it's like to be a Minnesota Monster right now.
Just nice, man. Lake Superior really impressed me. I haven't seen nothing like that in my life. So just to look up the fun facts about that and see it was called a graveyard and stuff like that really impressed me. So.
And it didn't seem like it took you very long to bond with a lot of people. Just watching Meadow and Jake and Javante and you sitting at the table to our left here. A lot of smiles, a lot of friendships. It looks like camaraderie is easy to come by for this group.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. And that's why I'm glad to be a part of the situation that I'm in. Just appreciating Jake bringing me in and then the relationship I build with Javante. That's my brother. Like you said, I'm with him every day. So it's easy to do that.
It's amazing how teams are so much better when they like each other. If that's the barometer, I can't see the first loss for the Minnesota Monsters right now.
That was going to be my question. Walk us through the recruitment. How did you end up sitting right next to Brian?
What was the open chair?
Jake. It was Jake. He said he begged me to come here, but he didn't. Once I talked to a few guys and I understood how he operated and just talking with Javante, it was a no-brainer. Like Javante said, this is where I belong.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Now we're talking with Claude Davis. Now, Dave, you and I got a roster sent to us earlier this week, and it included the dimensions of the players. And Claude today came up and introduced himself, and we caught his name, so we
paying
knew.
attention to 18 different things.
But we were double checking, and we went, does he look 6'4", 285? Yep, that's Claude, no question about it. And then, Dave, I think you said, well, and he's got size 11 mitts as well when he shook our hands. So your handshake was one thing, not to go Adrian Peterson on the bit, but your shaking of hands stuck out. But as I'm looking at your hand as we speak, you got that giant championship rock on there as well. You've been there, done that in terms of being a championship winner as well. Tell us about that experience.
Well, this is my fifth one. I've been playing arena football for 11 years now. So I'm used to that, So that's what I want to do here. I want to bring that same type of caliber here. They won the last 2 years, so we just want to keep it going. Yeah,
you have to have an expectation of the program that you're coming into. If the championship pedigree is here, I mean, you're bringing additional, championship mindset with. That had to be part of your filter when you were making a decision where to play.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, these guys know how to win. And I'm not trying to sound cocky, but that's what I've been doing my whole life.
Yep.
Since I've been playing arena football, I've been winning. I started off with the Sioux Falls Storm, if you guys know about that.
Oh yeah.
I went 6 straight there. I won 4 out of 6. So.
It's time.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So tell me about that, because there's a cliche in sports that this guy knows how to win, or this guy's a winner and he can tell other people what it's like to win or what it means to win. Sportscasters like myself speak in cliches like that. You can kind of put some meaning to it. What does that mean to teach somebody how to win?
Just showing up every day, leading by example. Again, I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have. I'm thankful for Jake and Meadow and Javante has just welcomed me in and let me be a leader, so just example, day by day.
One of the things Brian and I do a lot is we cover high school and we cover college football players. And when dealing with pros, the questions can sometimes be different. But I'm going to try to sneak one in here. So when you're pulling the team together, you have experience with the W's. Javante has experience with the W's. When you're bringing in guys that maybe don't, or maybe new to this level or to this type of football, how do you work with those guys?
Just like I said, leading by example. Setting the standard early. From practice to meetings to workouts. They see you do it. They like, oh, this guy 36. He been playing this 11 years, and he's still putting that type of work.
I want to stop him right there. You're 36?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, so I have aged like spoiled milk. How about you compared to 36 over here? I mean, that is impressive without a doubt. I want to just talk about kind of the misnomer of indoor/arena football. Defense wins championships. We all know that. But these types of sports, the indoor football, the arena football, they go, defense is optional. It might show up, it might not. You're going to beg to differ in a big way. What does it mean or what does it take to be a good defender in this type of league?
Just knowing the game. You know, that's what I prided myself on when I watch film. I watch the O-lineman tendencies. I watch formations. So knowing the game for me helps a lot for sure.
So that gives me that's a perfect segue because it gives me an easy follow-up segment. That's part of the game that is kind of revolutionized no matter what level you're playing at. Because I was going to ask, being a former NFLer, now playing this type of football, what are the adjustments you have to make? But it sounds like you focus on the adjustments that don't need to be made.
Facts. And there's the difference in it is just the motion and 8 people on the field. You still prepare the same way. You still watch film. You still get a scouting report. So just attention to detail.
One of the things that we've asked arena players before is the pace. It seems that the pace of the game is faster. As a defender, as a defensive player, does that impact you at all? Or frankly, Dave, you're wrong. The pace isn't all that much faster.
I've been doing it long enough to where the pace ain't nothing to me.
Sure.
To new guys, it might
Yeah.
be, guarding a guy in high motion. But
Yep.
like I said, this is my 12th season now. So
Right.
this
Wow.
is kind of what I do. You know what I
Again,
mean?
we're talking with Claude Davis, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask about because you are certainly the wily veteran. There's no question about it. But I want to know which season or what time in your career did the game slow down for you where
that's a good
this isn't chaotic anymore. This is football.
Man, I would probably say after I won my 3rd championship with Sioux Falls Storm and just understand.
When you start filling up the hand, it gets easier. Yeah.
You got the helmet. You're always doing workouts when your rings are on your
I
hands.
was going to say you weightlift just by raising your hand.
And then again, I noticed it last season when I played down in Vegas. I'm a little bit older, so my game changed. I went from defensive end to now nose. But I'm still explosive and stuff like that. So just understanding that part of it, the transition now, I got to play with a little more technique and stuff like that. So that's what it was for me.
So Meadow talks about entertainment and what's going to be brought to each game in Duluth or throughout the league. For me, when I've seen the indoor football in Duluth, the defensive players have a chance to maybe be the most entertaining because you've got the fans right with you. You're going to make a big play right in front of them. We've joked that it's the WWE and the NFL reproducing, and this is what you get. How much do you enjoy playing to the crowd, and how much can you really elevate how much of a factor they are in a game?
Oh, man, I love it. Like I said, that's why I'm still playing. And me personally, I'm a crowd guy. So, I do my thing. I make a big play, we're going to know about it for sure. And the crowd going to enjoy it for sure.
So shrinking down from end to nose tackle in this league. So when you're maintaining or trying to hold a center guard, keeping a gap or whatnot, how you're playing the game, in a regular football, in 11-man football, we'll figure that out sooner or later. You're always worrying about, not just the double team, but you've got additional. How is a nose tackle or defensive lineman for sure, but a nose tackle in particular, how does that change in a game where everything is shrunk?
I still get double teamed for sure. It's a center and a fullback, so I'll have the pleasure of bumping heads with both of them.
Right, stacking
which is
stacking
cool.
those two guys.
Oh yeah,
up.
for sure.
You get introduced by the end, no doubt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So tell me this as a bit of an elder statesman, and I mean that the best way possible. If you're going to experience double teams throughout most of your career, and we assume throughout most of this season, what's the best teachable moment for you? Because you're going to have guys lined up next to you that you're going to say, hey, you aren't going to get the attention I'm going to get. Here's a move you're going to want to do. It's going to help you. What kind of teaching have you been doing already?
Like I said, I lead by example. Biggest thing with me is ball get off. If I can disrupt the line of scrimmage, no disrespect, I don't care who's in front of me.
Yeah.
If you throw the levels off, it make plays harder, it make the timing harder. So just
Make them think.
staying explosive. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yep. So that would be so if you were talking to like we were saying earlier, we do a lot of high school, college stuff. If you were talking to a high school defensive lineman, that would be step one?
Yeah, biggest thing is get off. Getting off the ball, establishing the line of scrimmage for sure.
So we've talked about what you do well in this league, in this game. Tell me, even after all these years of experience or differing organizations, differing leagues, what's the biggest challenge each season? Besides Father Time is undefeated. Maybe at 36 is harder than at 30. We all get it. But what's the challenge for you of, I really would like to make this part of my game get that much better?
Honestly, I can't put my finger on it. Over time.
That's because you got that ring on there. It's hard to...
I've played with different type of coaches and stuff like that, so I've learned different type of things over time to help my game. So it's really hard for me to say this is hard. This is so.
So in an NFL defense, we talk about green dot. We talk about the linebacker as the leader. Maybe a safety is a leader. In the arena alignment with 8 guys,
How's communication?
is there a bona fide leader on a defense? Who's communicating? Is it just the guy that's been around the most? Do you feel like that needs to be you? How does it work in the game, which obviously you're preparing for game 1 moments away?
Up front, really, it's the communication between the nose guard and the MAC. And then the DBs, we'll have one leader behind us. But most of the action is up front, you know, so it's between the nose and the MAC. So if you got 2 great noses and MACs, it'll be perfectly fine.
Cool. That was frankly going to be one of my.
Did I steal your question?
Well,
I knew a guy that played in the trenches might not be happy with me taking that one.
Well,
not the guy that filled water bottles talking about the trenches.
I was going to ask specifically. We were talking to Javante about the fact that this is always just assumed to be a passing league, when indeed with players like Shannon, if you think it's a passing league, you better buckle your chin strap a little tighter.
Yeah.
Between you and the middle linebacker and the defensive ends, it's different going pinning your ears back every single play and actually having to play defensive line. So when you're in the smaller field, the faster setup, the communication's a little bit different. What's your read? What's your first read on pass run? Is it still the first step of the offensive lineman taking a step back or a step forward, or is there additional?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I just said something to them guys at practice today. I look at lineman hands, and I caught a few tendencies today, and I said something to Devontae about it, like we got to change that because if I know, somebody else will know. So biggest thing for me is I come to the line, I read the formation, and then I take the lineman's hands. If it's in the ground, I know it's a run. If it's light, I know it's pass for sure.
Oh, yeah, because the balance is back.
It makes it seem so simple when you put it like that. As somebody who's played in the NFL, they will tell you in the NFL, stop the run is the key to winning in football. With this being a quote-unquote passing league, we wouldn't think that's it. But at the same time, is this still a league where if you make them ultimately one-dimensional, you're going to be that much better?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're going to get after the quarterback a lot this year. So you got
rest
to see.
assured.
Yeah. You
guys are talking
see.
running, but hey, just buckle your hats.
Yeah,
I was going to say
sure.
there's a 0% chance that I was going to ask a defensive tackle, would you rather drop a back for a loss or drop the quarterback on his back? I think the answer to that's pretty easy.
Both. Honestly.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So they're equal opportunity in terms of
sure.
value to you?
Just Shannon Brooks made me realize that. Watching how that guy practice, he run hard.
Now, you said you love Jake. Did you bring that up on purpose?
Oh my God.
Just to have him in your back pocket?
No, not at all. Like since I've been here, Jake has been hands-on and it's great, just the communication and just like, him being a player's guy. I went through that under Rex Ryan when I was there. So it's just that comfortability that he brings to the game and making kids like me, even though I'm grown, feel welcome, because I never been to these
100%.
parts. But, talking to him and the things that he set in place for us is great, and I'm appreciative of
Now
that.
I feel like we could go way off the map with questions.
Yeah, 100%.
Who's the better broadcaster, Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, or Rex Ryan? You've heard us all on the mic now.
Well, and Brian, you
can rank us out of fairness. I won't be mad.
I think you were telling people earlier you're really light on your feet. You probably don't want to bring that up.
Yeah,
so.
not by choice, but yes, I am.
There's so many questions that I have now. We should just do this for the whole day.
I was going to say we might have Wednesdays with Claude as a new podcast.
So the question I have, we have a guest on our show, our favorite safety, and he comes on about once a month, right?
During football, he's a weekly fixture. Vincey Glenn. Yeah.
And Vincey has a great story about his welcome to the NFL moment, about getting ready to line up some old guy named Earl. And he went for the leg tackle and woke up as the running back was running away because that didn't work. So what was your welcome to the NFL moment and or welcome to professional football moment?
NFL wise, just the speed. I was a fast guy when I was a little bit younger. I ran sub 4.4 twice. I made it to the NFL, no pro day, no combine. I was coming off a torn ACL, so my speed is what. But when I got there and I seen that linebackers was the same speed, it blew my mind that the speed was really that serious. So.
Yeah.
All right, so last question is this. We got to scale it back to the league at hand.
Oh, come.
Week 1 is coming. The Monsters in New York. That sounds like a Muppet movie. But at the same time, with the amount of seasons that you've played this game, the butterflies, the excitement, the enthusiasm, Week 1 at age 36, is it any different from Week 1 at any other age?
Yeah, to be honest, this is a new league for me.
Sure.
You know, but like I want to be the greatest D lineman to ever play arena football. So week 1 is my, coming out party.
Yes,
Absolutely. I can tell you this. He's the greatest D lineman to be on this show. Round of applause for Claude Davis. That'll do it for the first edition of Monsters on the Mic, the Monsters in Albany. We wish them well week 1. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.